topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from top local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to experts in family law, association law, hearing loss, business brokers, home care, along with many other topics. Now here are your hosts, Steve-O and Sophia.
Hey, good evening, South Florida, and you are listening and watching the Ask the Expert show. We're with you every Thursday night from 5 to 6. We're in 10 markets, so I have to get my time straight. But boy, we've got an incredible show for you tonight. You know, all you homeowners out there who've been asking us if we would bring in a windows and door, storm windows and door show. We were so lucky. We got the finest company in Florida, and we have their vice president of sales tonight with us. This is his first show, and let's welcome him. Let's welcome Frank Madonia. Hi, Frank.
Steve, how are you doing? Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it.
We're so glad, and I love your phone number, 877-61-SMART. What a great number.
Thank you. Yeah, Storm Smart, we try to make sure that we take care of our customers and making sure they're tickled, delighted, happy, and give them something easy to remember on that.
Well, you know what? Speaking of taking care of your customers tonight, and we'll be mentioning this all throughout the show, that they can hear Frank here on Ask the Experts. And if you say, when you call them, get smart, Storm Smart will provide you with a free in-home consultation as well as a discount on your first hurricane protection purchase. And that is really nice of you guys to do that. So, hey, let's get started. First of all, Frank, tell us about Storm Smart.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us. So, Steve, the company's been in business for a little bit more than 26 years, and amazingly, we have serviced and provided protection to the South Florida markets, both East and West Coast, to the tune of 90,000 homeowners. So we've been doing this for quite a while. We think our pillars of strength are understanding the market, servicing customers, taking care of them, and providing excellent customer service throughout the process. So, you know, one thing about Storm Smart, we're here. We're here to stay, and we're here to continue to help service South Florida and grow out throughout the state of Florida.
You know, Frank, it's so important, especially after the pandemic. Boy, you see who the real ones are, and you know, I'm so sorry there was companies that did not make it, but it just shows the consumer, the ones that are still here, how strong they are.
You know, both that, not only the epidemic that came through, but even, most recently Hurricane Ian. So, we really try to be in the community, help those that help, the community. We really try to pay it forward when we can. But most importantly, we have members of the team that have been here 20 something years. So we've got a lot of longevity, tenure here. We pride ourselves on that. And we must be, we try to attract the best talent, keep the best talent. And most importantly is take care of the customers that we serve.
Well, that's why you've been in business as long as you have. And, gosh, we get a lot of bad weather down here. And, I never understood why people wait till we're about to get hit by a storm and they think about windows and doors.
One thing about that, and a lot of customers are, the hesitation, I think it's because they maybe are a little bit concerned of what works best. So they have a lot of options out there. And I think some of the hesitation is they're just not educated enough, or maybe there's a lot of different people out there giving them alternative solutions. And you've got to help educate the customer along the way. And I think one of the things that we do is we have, to the consumer, we're able to offer multifaceted solutions. And I think that makes a difference. But Steve, I'll tell you, the time is to do it now. You don't really want to wait. And hurricane season can be detrimental. I mean, a lot of people have lost their way of life, their homes, and the impact. And it just takes one opening to breach. So you've got a home with 15, 20, 25 openings or windows. It's the one window that breaches that could absolutely be devastating, not only to health and life, but just the flooding itself, any kind of small damage. So as we all know, water damage is one of the most dangerous things that can happen to a home. It has a very, very long time to the breakdown and degradation of a home. Water damage is just huge, huge, huge. And that's what happens typically in a big hurricane.
Well, we just got our first text for our show. A listener, Michael, he wants to know, what are red flags to look for when talking to a company that installs storm doors and windows?
So, there's a lot of good companies out there. And let me speak to the good things to look at. Some of the things I talked about, the longevity of the company, some of their reviews, having references and resources. Look, I don't shun any company just getting started, but there's a lot of liability with this. So they want to make sure they have a general contractor's license. They've been doing business. They've got a good status. They got a good, basically, reputation in the market. And some of the products that they represent, we're a manufacturer, so we actually have the products ourselves. We manufacture the products, and we have partnered alliance with some great suppliers in some of the products. But just even so, making sure that we have recognition on the products that they represent. But it's very, very important to vet the dealers, if you will, or the companies out there servicing and providing hurricane protection. Very important to do that.
What are some of the products that are typically available to consumers for hurricane protection in the home?
Steve, that's the thing that I think that separates us from a lot of other companies. We're not just basically one representation. We have roll down screens that we manufacture. It's called basically our storm catcher screen. There's slide screens. There's a product called strap and buckle. Some people may have heard accordion shutters. There's aluminum roll down shutters. And then again, there's the core, the impact windows and doors. So we represent all of those products to the consumer. And that's one of our attributes and one of our strengths that we have, is we have the ability to look at a whole home protection. And there's different applications for each one of those products. Some that may lend itself better for a consumer. And that's what we try to do, is pick the best options for them and what's going to be best for them long term.
Well, I'm going to put my own 2 cents in. My fiance has the roll-up shutters. Folks, whatever you do, don't get the hand roll up. Get the automatic ones, because I'm going to tell you something. Those ones that you have to roll up yourself is no fun to do.
That's one of the things that I actually made notes on later to talk about. But, the physicality of what you have, the ability to deploy the right product and for your home, for your specific use. And some of those aluminum roll downs are with the manual. We actually recommend the motorized. We sell different opportunities with that, both manual and automated. But yeah, you're right there. It makes sense sometimes to have it deploy with automation and motor versus manual crank. Absolutely.
Frank, is it that much more expensive, the automatic versus the roll-up?
No, here's the thing, is if you're looking at multiple openings and somebody really had a value that they had to stay with, and they had a fixed budget that they wanted to stick with, there's opportunities for us to offer a manual roll down. But typically I like to do it on a smaller opening, Steve, so that you don't experience what maybe you did. It's not that heavy to deploy. It's easier. Now, if I had my little grandmother here and she was the one that had to deploy, hurricane protection, I may look at her physicality and her ability to not only be, reluctant to do that, but her physical ability to get it done in a short amount of time when a storm's coming in. So that's where that automation really makes sense. You push a button and it's going to go ahead and retract or deploy the way you want it to. But a smaller window, they're very easy to do. When I say a smaller window, under 36 inches wide. So there may be some applications that makes a lot of sense.
We're starting to get a lot of texts now. And if you folks wouldn't mind, include your phone number with the text. Here's a pretty good one. They said, perfect timing. We have been thinking about getting storm windows, but we heard the supplies, there's a shortage of supplies. How long does it take to get storm windows installed once you've ordered?
Yeah. And so, there's major manufacturers right now. And to be honest with you, we're not seeing any major delays. 6 months ago, maybe, but really nothing right now. The manufacturers are doing a great job. And with everyone, I'll speak to the industry itself. There's a process that goes along with getting impact windows approved. You've got HOA, maybe you've got to get approvals. You have to have a permit approval. You have to make sure that basically the design measure and the product that you're using is going to fill that application and satisfy that need. And we try to give everyone on the Windows side anywhere from 18 to 22 week time frame to get it custom made, going through all the proper permitting, set up the installation, and do it right. Those are a really realistic time frame. I try to be friendly to the competitors and know what they do out there. And we're all within reason. Some people take a little bit longer. I think if anybody said that they were shortening that time frame, I would be a little bit cautious because they may be rushing a step here or there. But there's a process that you need to go through to get it done. But really, typically about 4.5 months to get it done.
If you've got a question about storm doors and windows, we're talking about all. We're going to be talking shutters tonight. If you're watching us, you can go right to our chat line. And if you have a question for Frank, we'll be sure to get it up. So, Frank, is there different price range by quality? Or is it by thickness?
That's a great question. So there are different benefits and features for your hurricane protection. So there's different gauges, if you will, from the aluminum, and there's also different types of product in the windows. You have different types of glass, thicknesses of glass. The most important what you want to do is meet the minimum requirements of Florida Building Code, or if you're in Miami-Dade approved windows and doors. And then from there you can go. But just like any vehicle, if you will, if you're buying a vehicle, some are going to come a little bit more bells and whistles. Some are going to have a little bit of different configuration, some different bells and whistles on whether it's screw cap covers and things like that, the automation of it, the rollers, if you will, if it was a sliding glass door. So there's different features of it that can basically you can get a nice value product that's going to meet Florida Building Code. And then you can be on a higher end and have a very, very, very palatable looking product that's very, very sleek, and you're going to pay a little bit more money for it. But overall, sometimes you could see anywhere from 15 to 20% difference in the different types of manufacturers.
I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to know that they want to make sure they're buying the right product. So what approval designation is acceptable, let's say, for hurricane protection systems?
Yeah, I think the most important thing you want to do is making sure the product for the hurricane protection meets and carries the Florida Building Code. This approval, it was recognized as an industry standard, and they called it basically an NOA, Notice of Acceptance, and that's basically the category that allows you to install that through your permitting. And again, in Miami-Dade, it's going to have a Miami-Dade HVAC code. High velocity hurricane zone code. So the Miami-Dade approval is the highest, and that really has to do with the design pressure and the wind ratings, and they vary. Again, the further you go up into the state, the less stringent it is. But you still want to make sure that you're either Miami-Dade or Florida Building Code approved always, and make sure the NOAs meet that criteria.
Hey, Frank, why do we always hear about Miami-Dade code, but we don't hear about Broward or Palm Beach?
Yeah. So what happened was Miami-Dade, if you look at how the historical has been on the hurricanes, they actually were the highest risk factor, if you will, and the higher velocity of a hurricane, and the design pressures were much, much stronger in that lower coast of the Florida into the from the islands up into the Keys. And really, when you look at hurricanes, they usually start out from the south and they work their way north, or they kind of come into that coastline there. And Miami-Dade is the ones that really set the map on being the most stringent of hurricane protection. So that's why the Miami-Dade classification is the strongest, the highest, and the best, if you will, to get for your home.
Well, I got to tell you that there's we're getting all kinds of texts right now. Some of these texts are people who actually ordered a long time ago, and they're telling them that it's taken months, and they want to know how you are getting them quicker than some of these companies they've ordered them from.
So, we're established company. We have a great relationship with our vendor resources. We have a partner alliances that we check in with, and we actually have daily and weekly check-ins with if we're not manufacturing the product and we have a certain vendor that we use, let's say a door manufacturer or a specific window manufacturer that we're using. We have great relationships, and the bulk of our business is with one or two select vendors for that reason, so that we can get top priority. We make sure that we're able to satisfy our customers. And, these are the timeframes that the manufacturers offer us, and we do everything we can to throughput that process to get it done. So, in our office, our sales cycle is extremely important, from the lead setting to creating a set appointment to having the people go out there, from the final measure to going all the way through measure, the permit, the applications, and the HOA. We really pride ourselves in moving that along so that it's very, very efficient. Customers are satisfied. And at the end of the day, we're not getting paid till the job's done. So we will make sure it's done correctly for the first time. And this way we're all satisfied with the results that we give.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the benefits and features of hurricane screens.
Yeah, a lot of people don't really know about a screen so much. I mean, I love that South Florida area. These are ideal for our open lanai areas, or just really larger openings that a window may be prohibitive, or you didn't realize there's an alternative to a window. So one thing about the hurricane screens is the ones that we manufacture here, we are Florida Building Code approved. It's a reliable hurricane protection. It's convenient because we have the ability to do electronic or manual, like you've already experienced. We can do Wi-Fi connection, so you could actually deploy the hurricane screens that we have from a smart device anywhere in the USA. So if you were traveling and you were up in Chicago, Steve, or visiting relatives in another state and a hurricane was coming, you could actually deploy our systems from your smart device through a Wi-Fi hub. But we have manual operation, we have override manual remote operations, and we have the electronics, so it makes it nice. But these can span larger opening sizes versus a window. Some of them we go up over 25 feet wide, making it perfect for lanais or very, very large openings and patios. They do withstand the hurricane force winds. They provide a lot of privacy and keeps the lanai clear of excessive rain, dust, and debris. And they also, our screens also prevent a lot of the smaller bugs and small animals from entering these areas when deployed. So actually it helps out with some people with small pets. And in fact, I've seen some people deploy these screens when they have family members over to keep kids from entering a pool area or getting too close to an open area. They actually deploy the screens so that everyone's safe in there. Another thing too is they help reduce the sun by shading. We have the ability to have that it'll shade the sun, and actually offers an additional lifestyle advantage by being able to deploy this screen into certain areas. So it's quite nice. That's some of the advantages and features of the hurricane screens. And they look nice. They deploy up to the ceiling, so you don't even know it's there. It's not cumbersome. And the other thing too, it's see-through. So you're able to see objects or people or light on the other side. So it's not as though if you had a deployed accordion shutter or an aluminum shutter, you wouldn't be able to see what's on the other side. The screens are nice. They let air through, and you can tell whether, people are on the other side of the screen. So it's nice.
Well, we're going to go to our first break. This is really nice what StormSmart's doing. First of all, their phone number is 877-61-SMART. That's 877-61-SMART. And if you tell them that you heard it on our show, whether it was Frank or myself, they're going to provide you a free in-home consultation as well as a discount on your first hurricane protection purchase. We're going to go to break right now. When we come back, we have more with StormSmart and Frank Bedonia.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On KBRLegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Sophia is still a little bit under the weather, so we are doing this solo tonight. We've got a great expert in StormSmart. Write this down, because you know what? I'm telling you, this is what always happens. You're going to think about 3 or 4 months from now saying, you know what? It's time we put in these storm windows and doors. And what was that company? They sounded so good. Why didn't I write that down? It's StormSmart. It's 877-61-SMART. We have the Vice President of Sales with us tonight, Frank Bedonia. And Frank, I got to tell you, we got a lot of listeners tonight. Let's go to our next question, which is, what is some of the biggest benefits from adding impact windows to your home?
That's a great question, Steve. And a lot of customers don't realize a lot of the benefits that they get. So currently they may have an older window that could be, up to 15, 20 years old. Sometimes I've seen windows 25 years old. Usually it's a single pane, and God bless them that they've lasted this long and not had, a projectile come through during a heavy storm or a high wind, or even, survive some of these hurricanes. But those windows are not designed for that. They're not designed to take an impact. They will breach, and it could be devastating. So, one of the biggest benefits from adding impact windows to the home is, you're going to be able to deflect basically any kind of small and large projectiles that may come from a hurricane. You've got a Cat 4 storm that came through with Hurricane Ian, and there would be a lot of people that had roof tiles that became launched, small objects in yards, even ceiling fans and porches that would come undone in blades. Just small objects like that could hit a window. So these impact windows and doors are designed to deflect that, take the hit. And so that's one of the most important things, is it's going to help deflect any kind of any kind of an impact to that window to keep the home from being breached and damaged. The biggest thing people notice, Steve, that I really enjoy is when they get their windows installed, and they waited for this time cycle. Manufacturers made their custom windows. We've installed it for them. They sit in their home and they say, "Gosh, it's quiet." The dog's not barking. The kids are happy. Noise reduction is amazing, and that's your home becomes a little bit more tighter sealed. The windows definitely help bring down noise reduction. And if you happen to have a busier area where there is frequent noise, you will notice that. In my own personal experience, I had some team that used to get up early in the mornings, and they'd always go over the tennis courts, and they would roll the tennis courts out and finish them. make sure that they're ready for the play the next day. I live near a tennis courts, and I'd always hear those guys 6:37 every morning, and they're rolling out the tennis courts, getting them ready for play that day. And after I installed my impact windows, it was the weirdest thing. I go, God, it's quiet this morning. And I just almost didn't realize how much it reduced the noise. So it was so much interesting for me to experience when I actually put impact windows into my home. The other thing too is you get 24-hour protection from intruders, because those windows are often much stronger than regular security and regular impact glass. Very, very difficult to break it. That's what it was designed for, to take an impact. So intruders, believe it or not, police have told me that when they see sad to say, but an intruder would see that a window is impact, most of the time they're going to walk away from it. Very, very, very difficult to beat that window to where they could get into it. So it does provide 24-hour protection for that reason. The other thing too is there's no shutters or additional protection needed. When you have that window, it's going to go ahead and deflect what it needs to deflect. It's going to seal up, take care of you, and provide you protection from the storm. The other thing too you're going to notice is because it's got a tighter seal to it, and you're not going to use up as much energy consumption from that single pane glass. Some of them, you'll notice a reduction in electric usage, and you'll notice a significant savings. And those are the biggest benefits that you'll get. And there's more to it with that, when they have a low emissivity, which is a coating on it that helps reflect sunlight so that you don't get so much of the sunlight coming into the home. So there's a lot of advantage from having impact windows. And lastly, you could save on your insurance for the home, because you can get a wind mitigation, and that'll help reduce the liability because you have impact windows, thus reducing your insurance for the home or your condo. So there's a lot of benefits to having impact windows. And lastly, if you're going to replace windows, if you need to, there's a cost associated with that. When you go with impact windows, you're protecting the home for long term. And a lot of people will seek a realization if and when they decide to sell the home, it has much more value having impact windows. So there's a lot of benefits to putting in impact windows to a home.
You know, I don't know, do you work with very many associations?
You know, that's really something that we continue to move on to in programs that I've developed for the HOA community. And Steve, I'm glad you mentioned that. But I'd love, if there's an HOA association listening, a board member listening, a property manager listening, I welcome them. And what we do is we set up a program to help understand what the options could be for that community, what's the best, basically a la carte plan that could work for that community. We do our homework, we bring in the engineers, and we offer the best suitable replacement, if you will, for that community. And we have many, many ways to handle either the common area or the individual homes or communities or condominiums. And the other thing too is that's where our strengths come in, our pillars of strength. We are customized enough that we can take care of them, but we're also big enough that the liability is not a risk to us, because we can handle 20, 50, 100, 200 units, even more in one community, and it will not deter from what we do. Other companies, that could be months and months of work for them. It's easy for us to handle a project of that size. So I welcome HOAs. I welcome anyone on the call that could be a board member. To actually make sure you reach out and ask for me personally. Ask for Frank when you call in for me to get back to you. But HOAs are our friend, and we love working with them. I was actually on a board member call last night with members in an HO community that had about 120 homes, and we did a nice overview of what we can offer for them. And it looks like we're going to get that preferred vendor status. And really, that's what we want to do. Just give us an opportunity to talk to them, and I think they'll be pleasantly surprised.
Well, everybody knows we do a community association show, actually twice a month. And, you know, when we had that hurricane, I think it was in 2006, there were high rises. This was in Deerfield Beach and Boca. There were high rises that looked like Beirut. The windows were all out. You know, you could see the curtains flying in the wind, and I'm thinking, God, why did these people not realize how important it is to have storm windows because I mean it was I think it was a category 2, but your windows would have definitely held up for that.
Absolutely, and that's the thing is, let's make it safe now. You don't want to wish you had it, right? Because that's too late, and it
Yes.
just takes one opening to breach. And to be honest with you, the storm, it creates so much negative pressure. It's the damage. It's just amazing what will happen to a home that when a window breaches. And like I said, I mentioned the flooding and the water, but just the human safety of that. Small children, pets, valuables, collectibles, things like that. Why do we want to risk that? So protect your home. Let's make it safe. And the thing about our company is we have alternatives of different products to offer a consumer that hopefully fits in any and most budgets.
Yeah, you know what, Frank? I want to see what's great about your company. You can handle these big projects.
There's very few companies that I would highly recommend that can do that. But I'll tell you, with us, we develop a single point of contact. We have an assigned project manager. We have assigned engineer to that specific site, and we go through the gyrations to make it right. And we set up the staging of it, deploying of it, whether they want us to do it in phases or not. We have the expertise and the ability to do it. Steve, there's not too many companies out there that have that wherewithal, but we are one that prides ourselves to be able to get it done. But remember, the individual customer is just as important as anyone. I treat each and every customer as the most valuable customer I've got each and every day.
We're going to get to customer service because that is so important. Also, we have a lot of board members. We have a lot of management companies that watch our show every week. And I'm telling you that if you're a board member, you need to call. I don't know if there's anybody still there today, but you gotta call Storm Smart. 877-61-SMART, and at least sit down with them because, I stayed behind. I was living in Highland Beach at the time when we had a fairly bad hurricane in Boca, and I actually saw my sliding glass door buckling. I mean, I thought it was going to break any minute.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I wish I had storm doors at that time, but this is not something to wait till something happens. And I'm wondering what's going to happen next year, Frank, when the new condo laws change next year.
We're monitoring that very, very closely, and I say this: the ones that are getting ahead of the curve are best do it now. Look, if you're in a condo now, you probably noticed your HOA dues have jumped up considerably.
Yes.
That's because of insurance. But, the two key areas that keep the insurance at the lowest rate it can be is the roof and the windows. And if either one or both are done properly, then there's an opportunity for that HOA to significantly save money. But those HOA dues can go up quite a bit when the risk is there because the condos are not properly protected. And I know that 2025 they've got things that are looking down the road that could impact that relationship with the homeowners and insurance, and we want to be there to help them out. So I always strongly recommend, let's look at the benefits now. Let's try to protect the home when you can, and very, very important that don't let it wait. You're risking your family, you're risking, your contents and your peace of mind. Any kind of damage like that, like I said, your home's breached and now it's damaged. Now you're going to have to wait to repair and to, you're scrambling. I hate for that to happen.
Again, let's go over some of the biggest benefits from adding impact windows to a home.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about those, right? But it depends on the home that you live in. Are you going to be there year round or seasonal? Do you need the extra security? Or do you need to reduce your energy bill? What's the age of the current home? If your home's more than 20 or 25 years, then the window replacement's probably going to be more important than not. The other thing too is, are you physically able to install or deploy the shutters or the screens or whatever the application will be there? And also, who will secure the home if you're not there? So some of the benefits can be that noise reduction, 24-hour protection, the ability to deploy either a shutter or have a window there where you wouldn't need a shutter. And then also the amazing energy consumption will be less and reduce the energy bills for that. So there's a lot of different applications that can affect a homeowner and a condo owner.
What are some of the best hurricane protection out there for a person's home?
It depends on, what you want to accomplish, Steve. But if you had a large opening, the screens do extremely well for large spaces and some applications where Lanai, where there's more flexibility. But, if you have an older windows, the impact windows make a difference. There's a lot of benefits with the impact windows. If somebody happens to be on a restricted budget, if you will, and the value, or maybe they have replaced windows 8 or 10 years ago, they may not be impact, but they're like, I've got to get I've got to get my return on my investment. Then you can look at doing accordion shutters for that. So there's different applications for different reasons. And the good thing about it is we offer all those, and we're able to discuss with the homeowner what makes sense. We've had people that do some windows on certain part of the application, screens on other applications, and even the accordion shutters on some other openings. So lots of different ways to do it. Most important thing is get protection, period. Get hurricane protection. Make sure it's Florida Building Code approved.
Frank, how come insurance companies don't help pay for these windows? Because when a window blows out, boy, the inside of the house or the condo is really, the damage is so much greater.
I'd have to say, ask an adjuster on that, right? I'm not in that business, but usually the homeowners are responsible for the windows. It's just something that the condos are associated with the walls, but when damage is done, there may be basically some kind of reduced, what am I looking for there? But deduction that you're going to have, that you're going to pay. But most of the time, the windows are not protected in that category, not covered in that.
What a shame. What is the difference from, you hear vinyl and aluminum frame windows?
So it depends on what you want to accomplish and the aesthetics of your current home. But energy efficiency is more related to the vinyl. But then again, some applications for a higher design pressure, if you will, come from the aluminum window or the aluminum impact window. So the looks vary, the application, what zone or what exposure you're at, whether you're in a high rise or a single family home, and you're looking for energy efficiencies. So there's pros and cons for both. And there's reasons to have vinyl and there's reasons to have aluminum. We sell both. We sell a considerable amount of both. And we like to help educate the consumer of what makes sense. I'm a big proponent that there is a product out there for the specific use. But vinyl has its advantages, mostly more energy efficiency that it's related to. But if you've got a solid home and secured home, a lot of times aluminum will work very well. And I always tell people, most planes are made out of aluminum, so it's pretty darn strong. So, but a lot of northern people are used to the vinyl because the vinyl was a big component, if you will, of windows in the north. So some people carry that down into South Florida, and they end up putting in vinyl windows. So both have different reasons, different applications, and different benefits and features.
Well, we're going to go to a break. We're here talking to Vice President of Sales, Frank Bedonia. He's with StormSmart. Phone number there is 877-61-SMART. And like I said, if you tell them you'd like to get smart, StormSmart will provide you a free in-home consultation as well as discount on your first hurricane protection purchase. Can you imagine, especially if you have kids, you've got wife, maybe you've got mom or dad living with you, and can you imagine what a load is that takes off your mind that you're protected. You're so much well protected in a house that has storm windows and doors. We're going to go to break. When we come back, we have more with Storm Smart and the Ask the Expert show.
K. Bender Rembaum is a full-service community association law firm dedicated to the representation of community associations throughout Florida. On kbrlegal.com, you can learn more about their offices in Pompano Beach, Palm Beach Gardens, Orlando, Tampa, as well as throughout Miami-Dade by appointment. Several K. Bender Rembaum attorneys are board-certified specialists in condominium and plan development law and assist clients with all matters of community association legal issues while keeping them up to date on new developments that affect their associations. K. Bender Rembaum is also a well-known provider of free legal education for managers and board members. Contact K. Bender Rembaum today by calling 800-974-0680. That's 800-974-0680 to reach any of their locations. You can also visit them online at kbrlegal.com or write to them at info@kbrlegal.com.
And we are back with the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV with your hosts, Steve-O, Sophia, and their expert guests.
Expert guest is Frank Madonia. He's the Vice President of Sales for Storm Smart. If you'd like to reach him, very simple number, 877-61-SMART. And if you call them and mention that you'd like to get smart, Storm Smart's going to provide you with free in-home consultation as well as a discount on your first hurricane protection purchase. If you're watching us through the TV, all their information is right below the screen. We're going to finish continuing with about the last 10 minutes of the show. Frank, when considering a company to replace or add hurricane protection, what are the most important things to consider?
Steve, I want the consumers to realize that there's choices out there and do your homework. We'd love to be the company that you select, but there's some fine companies out there. Let me tell you, there's some good companies that do it right. But I think that some of the important things that people would need to realize and recognize is size and stability of the company. If they've been in business, how long they've been doing it. Look at their reviews. It's very important. Look at some of the products that they represent, some of the success they've had. Maybe even just look at the geography that they cover. Because if they're not really in your area, then they may not really have the ability to service you. Again, that's very, very important to not only be able to provide you with the products, be able to service it if for any reason that it needs to be. That's very important to be able to take care of the customers. Do they use their own contractors? A lot of people in South Florida is transient. People kind of come up and go sometimes, but do they have their own employees? They represent the company well. How long they've been in business? And some of the different product offerings. Are they representing solid products that have been tried and true and are part of the Florida Building Code approval? And, a lot of people get hung up on that service and the warranty. Are they going to do their own service and warranty work? So very important. Just like buying a car, you want to make sure that the car's got a great reputation, but you have the capability and ability to service the car if you needed it done. You don't want to wait for something. And that's the most important thing, I think, out of those benefits is, size, stability, how they represent themselves, how long they've been in business, reputation, and just making sure they can service the geography that they're bidding on.
Are there actually different types of impact glass?
Steve, there are. A lot of people don't realize that, but there are several different types of impact glass. The two separating ones are really the laminated insulated glass, also known as LIG, but it's a laminated insulated glass. Usually it's a tempered piece of glass with an air pocket and then an insulated piece of glass. This is the more high efficiency glass that's going to regulate and really help with the energy bills. And then the other piece of glass is usually called monolithic type glass. And that's where it's basically two pieces of shatterproof glass with an inner layer, a membrane called a PVB or pinovinyl butyryl. And the PVB layer is when the outer layer breaks, it shatters to hold on with that adhesive to the PVB layer, and it keeps you safe and protected from any kind of projectile. So those are the two most important types of glass. You've got a laminated insulated glass, and then you have the monolithic type impact glass.
Are there different color choices?
So usually in our shades and shutters, you've got basic colors. They're only more of an industry standard, but you'll have bronze and white, beige and brown. And most of the framing, if you will, on impact windows and doors is typically your bronze and white. There are others such as black, and they also have silver colors for the framing, or anodized aluminum color. But those are the main colors. And then they also have different types of tint for the glass. So you could have a bronze tint or a gray tint. I mentioned low E earlier, but the low emissivity, that's really basically a greenish hue. So if you've ever gone by a building and it has a tint to it, a gray or a bronze tint, or even have a greenish hue to it, most likely that's the impact glass shade, if you will, seeing the different colors and the tints of it. But those are typically the basic standards of the frames and the glass.
You know, I'm going to tell people this. We love our viewers and we love our listeners, and you know, we want you to be with us a long time. And you know, if I had a condo or a house that didn't have the storm windows and doors right now, tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, and I mean first thing in the morning, I would be calling you guys up, because it's so important, especially if you have a family. But you know, tomorrow I would call 877-61-SMART. That's Storm Smart, and ask for Frank. If Frank's not in, I'm sure they have others who can help you, but get someone out there as soon as you can. Don't wait around and go, why didn't I do this sooner? How long, we only have a few minutes left, Frank. How long does it typically take once a person decides on what product to buy? And then what is the process?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. We talked a little bit earlier, but our screens and shutters, we manufacture and control of those. We've got about anywhere from a 12 to 14 weeks. Sometimes we're at 10 weeks, but we can actually process that through final measure, getting the contract situated for you, and taking you through the HOA and permitting process. Install anywhere up to 12 to 14 weeks. We're installing your hurricane screen shutters and any slide screens or hurricane accordion shutters. Now, on the window side, we're running right now anywhere from 18 to 22 weeks. Similar process, but we're custom making that window. So that window is going through a process of permitting, HOA, and then we're going through design measure. We're going to actually customize that window to fit into that application and that hole where it came from. And that takes a little bit longer, but right now we're right at about anywhere from 18 to 22 weeks to get that done. So time's of the essence. We're about 4.5 months for windows and doors, and we're right at about 12 weeks right now for the shutter screens and slide screens and aluminum roll downs. The nice thing about that too is we talked a little bit about the insurance costs on that and some of the benefits you could receive from that. I wanted to mention a little bit about wind mitigation. That's really something that a lot of people don't understand, that they have the advantage of getting. But it's a wind mitigation letter, Steve. A lot of people haven't done it. If you've gotten products out there and somebody didn't advise you to do that, go ahead and have a wind mitigation expert come in. Sometimes your insurance company can direct you to that, or you can actually look them up. But they'll do a wind mitigation survey on your home, make sure it is protected, all the openings are meeting with the Florida Building Code approved hurricane protection. And that usually costs anywhere from $125 to $150. And that issuance certification is used for your insurance for a reduced rate. So it'll help you save money in the long run. And over time, it'll help you pay for your impact windows, doors, or screens or shutters that you get for your home.
Well, I got to tell you, Frank, I see why they made you vice president of sales. You know your product. And, it's very important. And you're right. You start off the show, people have choices, and you recognize that. And I know that customer service is very important to your company.
Steve, absolutely. I want to earn the right to have the opportunity to meet with a customer. I don't take anything for granted. So we want to earn the right to be in your home, to help you along your way and help your journey and provide you with the best opportunity. That doesn't mean I'm going to sell you today, but I'd love to have that opportunity. Love to take care of you. Give us the opportunity to show what we can do. And most importantly is, we pride ourselves on doing the work that we do. And Steve, this is amazing, but more than 60% of our business is from referrals. And that is just remarkable at a company of our size. We continue to have 60% of our business coming in is from repeat customers referring us to their friends, family, neighbors, and adjoining neighborhoods that have heard about us, seen us, and providing the service that we have. They've done so much that they recommend us to the next home, the next family, and that's what it's all about. So,
well, we got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Name of the company is StormSmart. We'll be back with you again next Thursday with more Ask the Experts. And remember at StormSmart that tell them that you'd like to get smart, and StormSmart will provide you with free in-home consultation as well as discounts on your first hurricane protection purchase. Frank, we'll see you again next month on the Ask the Expert show, and we'll see you all next week.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.